Is Tao Te Ching one of the most profound books ever written? I wrote the following. This is a Tao Te Ching introduction. This is divided into three parts: basics, interesting observations, and major themes. Basics. What the words Tao Te Ching mean. Tao stands for the way, or the natural flow or driving force of the universe, or the natural, effortless flow of life. Day is the inner power that comes from living in harmony with the way. Power not meaning to dominate, but the power that comes from living in sync with the way. In other words, virtue or inner peace. Ching is classic book. Tao Te Ching, the classic of the way and its power. What is Tao Te Ching? It's the foundational book of Taoism, which is a Chinese philosophy or spiritual practice focused on living in sync with the Tao. Written in classical Chinese around 500 BCE, so about 2,500 years ago, allegedly written by Lao Tzu, who was either a person or a group of people. In a nutshell, the book is about how to live in harmony with the Tao, how to live a fruitful life, and how to manage people, whether a nation or yourself. The book may appeal to people looking for a wiser, simpler, more natural way of living. It can be described as a manual on the art of living. Book structure. 81 short chapters. It's viewed as being divided into two parts, chapters 1 through 37 as Tao, and chapters 38 through 81 as Day. The number of chapters may have symbolic meaning, in the number 9 times 9 equaling 81, as 9 is a sacred number in Taoist cosmology. It is believed the book did not initially start off as having chapters, so it went through a sort of textual evolution, with the chapters added over time, perhaps to help with the structure and to make the text easier to learn. Quick tangent. Especially since the Beatles were influenced by Buddhism, which can be seen as having similarities to Taoism, one can wonder if there's a connection between Tao Te Ching and the Beatles' experimental track Revolution 9, even though John Lennon was born on October 9th, and there are other John Lennon connections to the number 9. The book is poetic and relatively short, about 5,000 Chinese characters, or 6,000 to 12,000 words in English, depending on the translation, which means many can read it anywhere from 30 to 60 minutes. Interesting observations. Currently, often cited as the fourth most translated book in history, with over 250 translations, mostly in English, German, and French. There are more than 100 translations in English. It was first published in English in 1868. Some of the most popular translations and versions in English, by translations we mean direct translations, and by versions we mean more interpretations of the text, are Jia Fu Feng and Jane English. Jia Fu Feng spoke Chinese, and the text is quite accessible. Stephen Mitchell. Mitchell doesn't speak Chinese, but his version is considered one of the most accessible to everyday people. And Ursula K. Le Guin. Not a direct translation, but still poetic and accessible. For the curious, currently, according to some sources, the number one most translated book in history is the Bible, with over 700 full translations. Dozens of them are in English, and over 3,500 partial translations. Number 2 is The Little Prince, and number 3 is The Adventures of Pinocchio. Understanding. Tao Te Ching can be hard to understand, hard to make sense of at first, and this is partly because it's poetic and paradoxical. It teaches counterintuitively through hinting rather than directness, and classical Chinese can be concise and abstract. Meaning, because there are hundreds of translations, a lot of people don't agree with what it says, but that's part of its magic. Instead of telling people what to do, it's more like a mirror which reflects back to the person important questions rather than giving you concrete answers. Major themes: mindfulness. Our minds can be like stirred, muddy waters, murky and unclear, with thoughts and emotions clouding our judgment. But if we remain patient and present, often, like that muddy water, the best action will become clear. Effortless action, Wu Wei. Act without forcing and stop trying to control things. Flow, allowing life to unfold more naturally and trusting it more than our own plans. Emptiness. If we are empty, we will be full. Letting go of ego, overanalyzing, and control, we're more likely to arrive at wisdom, clarity, and inner peace. Softness, yielding. Soft overcomes hard, like water eroding stone. Lastly, not knowing. The power of not knowing involves realizing the limits of what we do know, knowing, to some degree at least, the perimeter of our own circle of competence, and appreciating how much more we don't know compared to what we do know, which is believed to be an unimaginable amount. This awareness is more important than simply focusing on what we do know, especially because life can be complex and it is in a constant state of change. Finally, a Tao Te Ching inspired mantra: rather than resisting or forcing outcomes, allow the natural flow and order of life to guide your actions, thoughts, and decisions.